Welcome back to hour number 2 of the Gary Sutton Show here on WSBA. I am Gary Sutton and coming to you live this morning from the Phoenix Park Hotel. I'm actually at Station F13. We try to get our number changed because I hate 13, but nevertheless, we are right here in the Federal Room. And I do want to let you know that we're broadcasting today live from FAIR's Hold Their Feet to the Fire event in Washington, D.C. It's about immigration reform, and the Federation for American Immigration Reform covered our travel and broadcast costs for this broadcast, which we are very, very happy about today. And yet at the same time, FAIR never tells us what to put on the air or anything like that. We talk to people who are friends of ours, and one of those good friends is with us here this morning. He is the former mayor of Hazleton, Pennsylvania, and he is now the congressman from the 11th Congressional District in Pennsylvania. We're talking about Mayor Lou Barletta. Lou, always great to have you aboard.
Thanks, Gary. Nice to be here again.
And I remember many a moon ago where you and I stood in the steps, and I was proud to stand with you when you broke some news in Pennsylvania by being the first guy in the city to say, listen, enough is enough of this whole illegal thing. There's some legalities to be made here about real people and real citizens in the country. Tell us a little bit about what really got you started on that.
Well, I first encountered a problem with illegal immigration as mayor of Hazleton. We're 2,000 miles away from the nearest southern border, so you wouldn't think that we would have an illegal immigration problem. We did. Our population grew by 50%, which is a huge growth for a city, but our tax revenue stayed the same. We realized that we did have a problem, came down here to Washington, talked to the Department of Justice about the issue, and they were great. They brought a lot of experts in to talk to me, Gary, and at the end of the day, I got a nice coffee mug, I got a lapel pin, a pat on the back, and
I'm sure you were very appreciative of that, right?
It was excellent. It was great. I realized the federal government wasn't going to do anything about the problem, and it was up to me to do something about it.
So you filed. Obviously, there was a case filed against you then because of your rules. Tell us a little bit about that whole outcome. A lot of people have followed that along the way.
Created the first law in the country dealing with illegal immigration, passed by a municipality, and it punished businesses that knowingly hired illegal aliens and landlords who knowingly rented to illegal aliens. We were sued by illegal aliens who had their identities protected by the court.
Which in itself is amazing when you think about it.
Well, they didn't even have to show up to the trial out of fear of being deported. So we felt that illegal aliens were given more rights than American citizens would have because you could not sue your city and remain anonymous. We lost in the district court. I appealed to the Third Circuit Court in Philadelphia. We lost there. I appealed to the Supreme Court. That they sent it back down to the Third Circuit Court after they voted in favor of Arizona, who used the Hazleton ordinance. We lost again in Third Circuit Court. We appealed back to the Supreme Court, where they now refuse to hear the case.
Talk about what was in that initial law, because you talk about knowingly hiring people, knowingly providing. I believe I'll let you
sure.
tell me.
The law was crafted in a way to make sure that nobody could be discriminated against.
Right.
A safe harbor for any city was they could use an E-Verify for a business. If they used E-Verify, they couldn't be in violation of the law.
Sure.
And if somebody was found to be in the country illegally, that determination would have to come from the federal government. Same thing with landlords. Everyone would get a permit to rent in Hazleton. However, if someone suspected that had information that someone was in the country illegally, it couldn't be based on the color of their skin or the language that they speak. We would check their identity with the federal government.
Right.
No city employee would make a determination. And then the landlord would, if they were in the country illegally, because it is illegal to harbor illegal aliens, that's not a Hazleton law, it's a federal law. They would have to begin the eviction process via the law of the state of Pennsylvania. Somehow, legal immigrants felt that was unfair. However, Congress has given municipalities the right to regulate license and permits, and that's what we would do. We would do nothing to the illegal immigrant.
Right.
We would simply suspend the business license of those who violated federal law.
And so here we are today. We have, depending on who you talk to, 12 to 16 to maybe 20 million illegal immigrants in this country. I will say illegal aliens because immigration, I think, is a lawful process. We have situations where we have people working. We know that. We have situations where people are hiring people knowingly illegal. We have people not able to pursue the same kind of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness that you and I have because they're kept under the thumb of being illegal. You're now in Congress, and Congress is talking about these kind of things, and yet if one listens to Speaker Boehner and others, it seems like they're trying to kind of figure out a way to go along with what many of the Democrats have said for a long time, all in the name of supposedly being more compassionate, but most of us think in the name of really getting more votes or many more voters. Your thoughts about that?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. When I was mayor, people would ask that question, why won't politicians in Washington do something about it? And what my response was that I thought the Democrats really were just looking for the votes of the Latino population, and the Republicans wanted the cheap labor for the Chamber of Commerce. Then I come here to Congress as a member and find out that I was totally wrong. Both sides want the votes of the Latino population, and that's really what this comes down to, Gary. We have immigration laws for two reasons: to protect our national security and to protect American jobs. How are we protecting American jobs when 22 million Americans couldn't find work this morning, and we want to bring in 10 to 20 million people to take those jobs? And how is it standing up for immigrants when at the same time you want to take away their opportunity, those that came here legally, that are here legally, that want a better education for their children? You want to take those opportunities away to allow those that snuck into the country to take those jobs.
What does real immigration reform look like to you?
Well, first of all, I am one that didn't believe there was much wrong with the immigration laws we had. The problem was we stopped enforcing them. Right. I do believe in agriculture. We need to look at that differently because it's a national security issue if we can't produce our own food in America. So I'm one that is willing to look at our guest worker program to make it work for American farmers. But at the same time, we have stopped enforcing immigration laws, and now we say it's broke. It's not broke. Politicians are broke. Here's what we need to do. We need to secure our borders, period. You wouldn't replace your carpet at home if you still had a hole in the roof. Here in Washington, they glaze over that. Anyone that wants to get to the next part, and that's what they want, this pathway to citizenship, they'll tell the American people, we're going to secure the borders, and then they talk about a pathway to citizenship. They have now given a green light to people all over the world to rush to America, come here illegally. This number will swell and is. We know for a fact more people are crossing our borders now because of this. We need to secure the borders, and that's not only our physical borders. 49% of the people that are here illegally didn't cross the Mexican border or Canadian border. They come on a visa. The visa expires, and they simply disappear into the population. We can't find them. That's the preferred method of entry into America by terrorists. I want to criminalize visa overstays. It's a serious issue when someone doesn't leave this country when they are supposed to, and we can't find them. The Democrats and Republicans claim they want to do this. Then why aren't we doing it?
Exactly. I mean, you are the lawmakers. You are the ones who are supposed to be putting it out there. And then the executive, who's supposed to be executing the laws for us that you do make, I wish he would take the same kind of fervor in executing those laws as he takes in changing Obamacare, which he's done, 30-some times so far.
Calls an audible every day, like that. We used to play football.
Like that, yeah. And so, where is that same kind? The executive orders that he seems to want to put out there are basically ones that side with illegal aliens as opposed to siding with Americans who want a rule of law. I've been asking people all morning this question. I'll ask you. If we are a nation that does not believe in rule of law, then what? I mean, what are we?
Well, we're not going to be a world power any longer. We're going to become a third world country like others that long to be what America was. I worry about our standing around the world where our allies don't trust us and our enemies don't fear us, and we're not even willing to stand up and protect our own borders to protect American people. We're giving a message to our Border Patrol agents that if they're encountered by people as they're crossing the border, to basically run. You can't pull your weapon out any longer. Right. Our jails that are filled right now, the federal government under the president's budget, he now wants to scrap a program that would reimburse counties and municipalities for the cost of incarcerating illegal aliens. It's pretty clear where we're going as a country. It's just amazing to me how quickly we've forgotten September 11th and why we have immigration laws. You have Jeb Bush claiming that it's an act of love.
Saw that the other day, yeah.
And, I wonder if, and he's probably right, the pilots on September 11th had an act of love, but it wasn't for the same God that so many here in America believes in, or the people that we love and cherish. So, I'm going to continue to be a voice and a pain in the side for those here in Washington, because I did not have to be briefed on this issue. I experienced it firsthand as a mayor, and there's not many people in Congress who can say that.
You mentioned about border enforcement. You mentioned about making overstay of visas a criminal act in this country. We talk about the 12 to 16 million people who are here right now, people you had to deal with as a mayor and now deal with as a congressman as well. And the question would be very simple. What do we do now with those people? Because somehow I got in an argument yesterday with a good friend of mine about this. Somehow it is supposedly inhuman if you say, okay, you're illegal and you have a job right now. Okay, you can't have that job because you are illegal and you're supposed to be a citizen, or a legal alien or a legal immigrant. So what do we do about those people? Because everybody seems to say, well, those people, what are you going to do? You can't just, and the common line, you've heard it a million times, we're going to kick in the doors and deport them, right? Over and over again. That's the polar edge of the argument.
Well, first of all, it's dangerous to get into that discussion, and this is the reason why. If you say, we're going to provide some path to citizenship if they pay taxes and all the
and they'll go to the end of the line too. Right. You hear all that.
Yeah, go to the end of the line, but you can stay here.
You're already
keep
here.
Your job. Nothing will change. But you're somehow
blah, blah, blah.
We've turned the line upside down. When you have that discussion, if you take a position like that, you're now encouraging millions more to come here illegally. You're basically saying, hurry up, get here before we secure our borders, and then you're going to be able to stay here. So you're going to exasperate the problem into maybe double, triple what we have. So my position is we shouldn't even be having that conversation until we secure the borders.
Right.
It's not an easy thing to do. We can't even roll out a website, yet alone, secure our nation's borders and making sure that, any state that has an international airport is a border state. If you can come here on a visa and stay, you have become a border state. Let's do that first. And after we do that, we can have the conversation with the American people that this won't happen again. Reagan said that we were going to do this once.
At least he was honest about saying the word amnesty, right? That's the one thing you can say about that.
That's right. And here we are, with 3, 4, 5 times as many people that are here illegally, and we're going to try to fool the American people again. We're going to secure the borders. They glaze over that and get right into this. Well, what do you want to do? Where's your compassion for the people that are here? First things first. Don't put the cart before the horse.
Well, and the point would be, too, if we enforce our laws as they are already in the books, no new laws, just enforce our laws that are on the books, a lot of those people are out of gigs. And then you stand there and you say, oh, wait a minute, that's terrible. It's terrible to enforce the laws that we have in this country that you already had your legislators make. That's wrong.
What's terrible is that 22 million Americans couldn't find work this morning. What's terrible is that there's somewhere out there a single mom that needed that job that was just pushed out of because we wanted a legal alien to come in and work for less.
But remember, Congressman, those people are doing the jobs that Americans don't want to do. Another of the cliches that you hear all the time. Your response?
Well, that's pretty incredible, for anyone that really believes, people don't want to do construction work. And there's a lot of people who are really worried about how they're going to take care of their family, feed their family, educate their children, and need these jobs. And we don't need to diminish the wages of American workers by bringing in cheap labor. Even when we talk about bringing kids into the country for engineers, these high-tech jobs.
Right.
What are we saying about our own kids? We're going to slam the door in their face. They're not smart enough. They're not good enough. We're not going to invest in educating our own children. We have to go around the world and bring someone else's kids here to do these high-tech jobs. I disagree with that. I think we're giving up on America and selling our own children short. So, I'm going to continue to be a strong voice here.
We're going to take a very quick break. We're going to come back with you, and I want to talk a little bit about some of the numbers here in Pennsylvania, which I know you're concerned about, too. And there are some mammoth numbers out there on illegal immigration. We'll come back with Mayor Lou Barletta right after this. Welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show on WSBA Radio as we come to you live from the Phoenix Park Hotel here in Washington, D.C. And our special guest this morning in this hour has been, or this half hour rather, has been Congressman Lou Barletta. I still call him the mayor every now and then. Mayor Lou Barletta of Hazleton. A lot of us sit back right now and we're trying to really solve these problems and really want good policy for our country and really still believe, I think, in an archaic system that says, geez, we're a country that believes in the rule of law. We talk about you getting sued because you were trying to carry out the rules in your city at that time, and yet I haven't seen one sanctuary city so far disrupted who was not carrying out the law. your thoughts about that?
Well, it's amazing. You know, I was a mayor that wanted to enforce the laws that we already have on the books. And I
sworn to do, by the way.
Sworn to do. And you have mayors around the country who declare that they are a sanctuary city. And basically what that means is that you are not going to enforce immigration laws. Your police are not going to prosecute anyone that's found to be in the country illegally. So you have mayors who are refusing to enforce laws, picking and choosing what laws they want to enforce. And we're going down this road way too far, Gary. Not only do we have mayors who are willing to do that, we also have a president that is picking and choosing what laws we're going to enforce and trampling on the Constitution many times and going around Congress and taking this country down a road that we haven't been that far down before.
It seems like anymore reality gets trumped by what you say. You know, we hear the president come out and do a speech yesterday on this difference between men and women on what they earn and so forth, leaving an awful lot of figures out of that particular argument. We see the president coming out and talking about how we have to be compassionate toward all immigrants. This is a country of immigrants. Like, we didn't know that. We all know that. I mean, I think you're of Italian descent. I'm from Scotch-Irish descent. Other people in here are probably from all different kinds of descent. It's the beauty of our country, and yet it seems today that we are afraid to ask our nation to be a nation of assimilation, a nation that was a melting pot at one time, and that you just kind of plop down here for all kinds of different reasons. But the assimilation part's getting left out. Do you sense the same thing? I
do sense that, and you know, the trick here is the words that they use, a play on words when they say immigrants. You know, I for the longest time stopped using the word illegal immigrant, because in print what they would do by the second sentence, they would leave the word illegal out, and they would say I was anti-immigrant. So I started saying illegal alien, because in print they couldn't do that to me any longer. And it's really what, as the president just did, saying, you know, we're a nation of immigrants. We're not talking about immigrants. No. We're not talking about people who waited and came for an opportunity here. We're talking about people who came here knowingly, illegally into the country. It's not the same group of people. We're not talking about the same group of people. And we are pulling the carpet out from underneath the immigrants that are here, that want a better life, that want to earn more money, that want their children to have a better life, because we're now willing to bring tens of millions of more people to compete for their jobs. And I believe...
And not even in the right way.
You know, in Hazleton, 49% of our population is Hispanic. I won with 90% of the vote there, because I've been able to have the discussion with the legal immigrants that are there and say, listen, I want you to have a better life. I want your children to have the opportunity that you came to America for, and they get it. Most get it. And it's just the politicians who want to use this as an issue to get themselves reelected.
And the argument that they make, without really making it, it's a subtle thing, and they say, well, you know, if you're Hispanic, you're the ones that are really picking on here. You know, and so if you're legal, even if your family's illegal, you know, it's the same thing. It really is the same thing. And that's the subtle argument that's being made out there. And a lot of us are picked up on that. And a lot of us are tired of the cliches that are being thrown our way. Final thought here. Final two thoughts, really. What do you see happening in Congress, if anything, this year? Obviously, we're in election year, and most people, this is one of those items that maybe not on the top of the run right now, but when you start to talk about it, it becomes a very emotional kind of thing. And also, we look at the cost of Pennsylvania right now, $1.37 billion a year spent on illegal immigration. That number's astounding. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing me. That comes out to $291 per household that they're paying extra year for illegal immigration, one way, shape, or form. So I'll give you a thought in those final two things.
Well, you know, there's a cost to the local taxpayers of illegal immigration, whether incarceration, whether it be in providing services. It's money that these areas, and especially in Pennsylvania, that we don't have. We have good reasons to enforce our immigration laws. And let me tell you, immigration, whether it be amnesty, a pathway to citizenship, is very much on the minds of people here in Washington. If we've been able to stop it this year, but I could guarantee you, as soon as the election is over, it's going to be at the top of the list again, and we cannot leave our guard down. We need to continue, and I appreciate what you're doing, and you know, giving people like myself an opportunity to make sure my voice is heard. They've excluded my voice from the table here in Washington because I'm bringing a different perspective. It's not what they want to hear, but it's through events like this that we're able to have that one-to-one talk with the American people.
Well, again, it's about the American people. It's not about people who want to come here illegally. It's a matter of we want people in the club. It's just come on in the club through the front door and quit trying to get her in the back. The back is locked, supposedly, but apparently in our country the key has been forgotten. Congressman, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for having a voice here, and continue to make that voice out there, because there are a lot of people that want to hear that here in the country. And unfortunately, with the media that we have nowadays, they don't want you to be able to say that. But we appreciate the courage you show.
Thank you. It's not about party. It's about people, and people can follow what I'm doing here on LouBarletta.com, and I'm going to continue to be a strong voice for what I believe in. Thank you, Gary.
We'd ask people to follow them. And again, thank you so much. Congressman Lou Barletta with us here on the Gary Sutton Show. We'll take a break. We'll come right back with another congressman, our own Congressman Scott Perry, who joins us here on the Gary Sutton Show live from Washington on WSBA.